been really hot lately, and this is a problem. It's a problem we hear about every single summer. And I feel like as broadcasters, maybe we sound like broken records of remember not to leave your child in the car in the summertime, but this is still an ongoing problem, correct? It's still killing a lot of children every year.
It is. The data that I've been tracking goes back to 1998, and the average number of these deaths per year has remained fairly stable in the upper 30s. Right now, it's right at 38 deaths on average per year. We have seen the last couple of years, due to changed travel patterns, work patterns of people being at home with COVID and related activities with the pandemic, that we've seen those numbers have dropped off. Though last year we came back up to 33. This year we're currently at 15. And so that's a couple less than we had last year at this time. But still, that's 15 too many. Obviously we all want to shoot for zero in this case.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about this issue as well. People think that it's maybe purposeful or neglectful parents, but most of the time that's not the case, correct?
No, it's not the case, and those misconceptions have sort of prevailed that this is bad parents doing bad things. So overall, about a little over half the cases, 54% of the cases, where children are accidentally forgotten in the car, while the parent or other caregiver forgets the child is in the back seat. They may get distracted. They may go onto some sort of autopilot. I think we've all have missed the exit we get off at every day on the freeway when we're thinking about something else, and all of a sudden, oops, there it went. And it's tragic, and it seems unthinkable that could happen. Well, that you have a child in the back seat, but it obviously does happen, and it happens to the entire spectrum of people, in the world, in the United States. From doctors and lawyers and teachers and hospital administrators and baristas and construction workers and engineers, people in the military. So across the entire spectrum, these sorts of occurrences happen. There's also a little over 25% where children get into cars on their own. A car is left unlocked, in the property, and child gets in there. They might be playing. They might want to, just get away, be in the quiet. They either get overcome by the heat, or sometimes they get trapped in the vehicles. They're in the back seat. They don't know that those child safety locks, work back there, but that they could go to the front seat and get out. So, and there's lots of safety strategies that we can talk about for all these categories. But in this particular one, number one, keep your cars locked. They're not play areas. They can be very dangerous places. There's also instances, in tracking heat stroke deaths of children, putting vehicles in, getting them out of gear and having them roll and injure or kill somebody, and or power window strangulations. So, they're not a play area. Keep cars locked. Teach children, if they are trapped in a car, that they can, try and get out on the driver and the front passenger seats, or if they're trapped, to honk the horn, get people's attention.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
All kind of basic sorts of strategies that that can certainly save a life. If a child is missing, check the pool first, and then check nearby vehicles. Those are the places where children can die in a fairly short amount of time. If they're hiding in a closet or somebody else's backyard, they're in trouble, but they're going to be alive.
Yeah, it's good, great advice to go with the statistics on where they are actually at risk.
And
it happened to me yesterday. I couldn't find my son, and I looked and looked, and I thought, I'm going to go look in the car. And he had thought we were leaving, and he'd gotten in the car like 15 minutes prior to when we were leaving. So it can happen. I understand that it can happen.
And the way, so as a meteorologist, the way I got involved in this sort of research was, there was a death of a child in San Jose, California back in 2001. I was asked by local media, "Hey, Jan, how hot did it get in that car?" I couldn't find any really good on-point studies. The one I found was a health study out of Louisiana. It certainly didn't apply here. And so I did my own study, eventually published it with a couple of ER doctors from Stanford and Academy of Pediatrics in 2005. And it's now the go-to study on the topic as far as vehicle heating, how hot cars get. And the big takeaways from the study was, number one, well, we all know cars get really hot, but how rapidly they heat up. In the first 10 minutes on average, a car heats up 19 degrees. So let's say you're on a mild summer day for most of the country of 80 degrees. You're at 99 degrees in 10 minutes. You're at 109 degrees, a potentially fatal temperature, in 20 minutes. So, these things can happen very rapidly. Infants and children, especially smaller children, their bodies heat up 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's. So, the when their body temperature reaches 104, that's a clinical definition for heat stroke. If you ever suspect someone has heat stroke, what first responders look for is their forehead damp, because when you go into heat stroke, you stop perspiring. So, if someone is, complaining of the heat and things and they aren't sweating, they're the first stages of heat stroke. When the body temperature gets to be about 107, that's when cells inside the body can begin dying. Inside organs can shut down, and often there's this cascade of organs shutting down, and death can be fairly rapid. So, there's not a lot of time in these sorts of cases.
All right, so we know it's a problem. Can we talk solutions? Newer cars have this. My car now has this thing where it alerts me, but I do worry that after a certain period of time, I'm going to become immune to hearing that alert in the back seat, to check the back seat.
Yes, and the vehicle that I have, the new vehicle that I have, does exactly the same thing. And number one, you can go into the settings, you can turn that off, but you stop seeing it, very rapidly. I don't even notice it anymore. Now, I don't have children I'm putting in and out of the back seat, so it's less of it, because those are the vast majority of these systems right now are, basically door logic. Is the back door opened when you start the car, and then do you open that up when you get wherever you're going to get out whatever you put back there? In this case, a child. Newer systems that are being proposed are sensor systems, which will sense, a body movement. There are lots of different technologies that work, and all these technologies are great. I'm a big technology guy, a first adopter. I have way too many toys, and all that. But one of the big problems is that the technology is being mandated for new cars. Only about 38% of the new cars are bought by people that are of child rearing ages. So, number one, you're missing that whole group, of the most important group. I had, in projecting this forward out for 20 years, we would only save about 30% of the potential lives. So that means, we're saving lives. Every life saved is good, but it's not the panacea, unfortunately, that some people want to pay. Hey, we'll put all these devices in our cars, and we can all go on to other activities. And that's just not going to be the case so we need to do lots and lots. Again, these are going to newer cars. So the people that are people in underserved communities, they're the last ones to get new cars. The average age of a car in the United States these days is 12 years old. So you have lots and lots of people, and often, they're people in a lower economic strata. They're not going to have new cars. They're not going to have these devices. So we need other strategy. More.
Yeah. So they're simple things, right? We don't have to have all this technology. What are some of the simple things we can do to make sure?
For as far as a reminder of keeping, when you get to your destination, when you get into the car, normally keep a teddy bear or a stuffed toy or something else in the child seat. Put the child in that. Put that up in the front seat with you as a visual reminder of when you get to your destination. Oh yeah, there's teddy bear. Let's put that in the back. Let's get Johnny out. You can also put all those things that we automatically reach for when we get out of the car. Our phones, our wallets, our purses, our briefcase, whatever it is. Put those in the back seat area. All the child traffic people I work with, they say, put those on the backseat floor, by the way, so they don't become projectiles.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah.
it's amazing working with these different groups of people
Yeah.
that, they add in these other sorts of perspectives.
It makes sense.
Yeah, put your cell phone back there, so you're not on the phone when you're driving. Again, I work with a lot of child safety people. They won't talk to me on the phone if I'm driving. They said, call me back,
Wow.
and it's a distraction, and that is what happens in a lot of these cases. We talked about the instances where where children can get into cars on their own. So keep key fobs away from kids, keep your cars locked, teach them strategies for getting out of the car or getting attention. The final 20% of the cases we did not talk about. So the 54% are being accidentally forgotten. 25% or so where kids get in cars of their own. The final 20% are where parents or caregivers make a decision. Oh, it's okay to leave my child in the car while I go do something else. Now, it may be something innocuous like a quick trip into the bank, but it may be going to the casino. There are the numbers of cases of children being rescued out of vehicles in casino parking lots is very high. And or other, going to a bar, going into a racetrack. There's all sorts of things that people think that it's okay to leave your child in the car for.
Oh,
And
those are all addiction-based hobbies too.
yeah. And so and we all know even the innocuous ones where it's only going to be a quick trip into the bank. Well, you're behind the person depositing, $300 in quarters, or whatever it is. So, it's the watchword in the safety community is not even for a minute. Yes, you're at the gas station. You gotta go in and pay. Your eyes can still be watching your vehicle. Also, in tracking these cases, I see almost weekly instances of children in vehicles who people steal the car. They get carjacked. They're paying they're at the ATM, and someone jumps in the car and takes off, not particularly meaning to kidnap a child, but a child is in there. So or people leave in their driveway. They're getting ready to go someplace. Child's in the car. Car's ready. Oh, I forgot to get the casserole. Gonna run into the house. Someone takes the car. So don't even just don't leave children unattended in vehicles. There's just too many bad things that can happen.
So I recently saw a video on social media, I think it was in the news, of a bunch of people rescuing a baby out of a car on a hot day. And the video had controversy in itself because they had broken the windshield and they were pulling the baby through the windshield. So I want to get from the expert what you do if you do see a child alone in a hot car.
So the first thing you do is call 911. Get some professionals there that have the tools to get out. But if the child is in distress and you need to get that child out, number one, break a window on the opposite side from where the child is, so that you can, breaking out a windshield. You can't reach the door locks to unlock, get the child off that way. So that would, and windshields are much heavier glass than you have on the side windows. There are these small tools that have like a sharp point on them. They're like a small hammer. I have one in the trunk of my car. With a sharp point, you can break any window very easily with this safety glass. And get in, unlock the car, get the child out. And those also, they're nice. They have a little seatbelt cutter on them as well. Available on Amazon, rescue cutter for car seat, and $6 or something like that. There's a great safety thing to have if someone's ever trapped in a car seat. There are lots of situations that can be helpful, but to get a child out. About 30 states have Good Samaritan laws where people won't be prosecuted for rescuing a child, in a lot of cases also a pet, out of a hot car. Though in doing this now for 20 some years, I have never seen anyone prosecuted for rescuing a child, whether there was a Good Samaritan law or not. So that would be the last thing that I would worry about. Should probably also mention you only have 21 states that have laws against leaving a child unattended in a car. So I mean that means the majority of states don't. There are 29 states that have laws against leaving pets in cars. Now, when a child is injured or dies, those aren't the laws they're prosecuted in. They're prosecuted, as manslaughter or child endangerment or things like that. These are supposedly preventative laws. And sadly, even some of those laws are not great. Florida has a 15-minute rule. You can leave a child unattended for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, a child could die, especially in Florida. So, and there's some other states. Texas, I think, is 5 minutes, and there's some other, no, not for 1 minute. So,
Wow.
it's a it's a rocky landscape out there to try and navigate this to be able to keep these children safe.
So let's say you do come across someone who is clearly a victim of heat stroke. You've called 911, you've removed them from the car. You give them cold water. Is there a point where it's too much water? What should you do next?
Yeah, you get them into a cool place. Cooling them off too rapidly, like with cold water or ice or something, can actually be detrimental. So you want to get them into a cool place. Begin the cooling process. Get them out of the hot environment. The environment around them will, remove upper layers of clothing so that their body can perspire, and so that they can, so evaporation will cool them off. But you don't want to, you're not most people are not medical professionals, so you want to leave that. But that's why you call 911 first, and get the professionals rolling.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you want to add about this topic?
I would love for people to go see noheatstroke.org. There's everything that we've been talking about and lots more information, safety information, places, what states have laws, the circumstances that lead up to this. It's kept up to date, as far as the current numbers of statistics and things like that. So it's a good, one-stop resource for people to find out more.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. While you're here, check out some other videos you just may like.